Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Bratislava in Slovakia. Bratislava is the capital of Slovakia. You can see the whole region is all of this area here. So that means Bratislava has a really cool little fact about it, in that it is the only capital city to border two countries. It borders Austria here, and it has this little border here with Hungary. Very important to its history. The Bratislava region is located within the Little Carpathian Mountains. So I think that's what that means there. Makes sense. Which means throughout these mountains we have little rivers and valleys, the most prominent being the Danube River there. It's creating that border there. But there are many others. Otherwise, this region is, mountainous. There's beautiful forests. But there's also the big major city of Bratislava right there, with other little towns throughout. And that's pretty much geography. It's a tiny portion of a tiny country, Slovakia. So let's talk about the history of this capital city, which is going to lead us into its UNESCO site, actually, because the first people who would have lived here would have been the Celts. It would eventually be conquered by the Romans, and they would build a military camp here called Geographica, I believe would be pronounced. And the ruins of that is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Let me slide the tablet here into view so we can read about the frontiers of the Roman Empire, the Danube Limes, western segment. It says, it covers almost 600 kilometers of the whole Roman Empire's Danube frontier. The property formed part of the much larger frontier of the Roman Empire that encircled the Mediterranean Sea. The Danube Limes, or the western segment, reflects the specificities of this part of the Roman frontier through the selection of sites that represent key elements from roads, legionary fortresses, and their associated settlements, two small forts, and temporary camps, and the way these structures relate to local topography. Now, sadly, none of the pictures are of Gerulata in this slideshow here, so we won't look at the pictures. Maybe another day when we go to those areas, we can see the pictures there on UNESCO. But yeah, that's pretty neat, I think. In the 8th century, the Slavic people would move into this area and would create their own Slovak identity, mainly in the creation of Samos's empire, and eventually creating this area here, their own kind of, like in their mind, we would call it like a country, known as Great Moravia. This would collapse by the 900s. In the year 907, the Battle of Pressburg was fought here between the Hungarians and I believe the Bavarians, who were just right over. Can you see my hand? Right over there. It would lead to, like I said, the awakening of Great Moravia and lead to Hungary conquering this area here, becoming part of Hungary for a very long time. Eventually, the Ottoman Empire would start conquering southeastern Europe, crawling up as they took over. After the Battle of Mohacs, they pretty much started steamrolling Hungary, took over Buda, which was the capital at the time, so they relocated the capital here, which at the time was known as Pressburg, in English at least. I don't want to try to pronounce it in Hungarian. And this city was the capital of Hungary from 1536 to 1783. And pretty much every important government aspect, like coronations, government meetings, things like that, occurred here in what's today Bratislava. So how did it get that name, Bratislava? Well, it would change its name to be a more Slovakian name after World War I. After World War I, Austria-Hungary collapsed. The Austrian-Hungarian Empire, which would, have controlled this area here, collapsed after World War I. So the victors of the war divided up the land here, and they created a new country in 1918 called Czechoslovakia, which would be a homeland for the Czech people and the Slovak people. And that's when it was renamed Bratislava. It was almost called Wilson City after Woodrow Wilson, who helped create Czechoslovakia. He was heavily involved in the peace negotiations after World War I. I think Bratislava is a better name, to be honest. The Hungarians weren't happy about losing this area. They would fight a brief war, very brief, just a few months. But nevertheless, it became part of Czechoslovakia. The people here were very determined to make sure that this stayed Slovak and not Czech. Hence, Bratislava. Slovaks, right? Slavic peoples, too. Czechoslovakia would not have a very good run throughout the 20th century. World War II would happen. Germany would invade. They created a puppet state of Slovakia, leading the people here to think that Germany was on their side. In fact, they were just trying to take over. So having the Nazis occupy your city was very bad for the Jewish population, which, just saying it in ways that are relaxing and YouTube friendly, became non-existent at this point. Just very devastating. After World War II, Czechoslovakia would fall under the Eastern/Soviet sphere of influence. And Bratislava would change quite a bit. A lot of the historic buildings were knocked down. Well, a lot of them were destroyed during the war anyway, but a lot more were knocked down to create more like brutalist buildings. And I'll show you a cool bridge. Actually, you saw it in the intro. That is not a very pretty bridge, but it's so distinct nowadays. But a lot of the old town of Bratislava, especially the Jewish quarter, was bulldozed to create this very ugly, very brutalist bridge with a big UFO on top. At least that's what it looks like. And that's what it's called today, funnily enough. But that time would end by 1989 with the Velvet Revolution, fighting back against the Soviets and those that supported the Soviets in a very velvet way, right? It went very smooth like velvet. And in 1993, both countries would experience, these two countries were one, they would experience the Velvet Divorce, which was a peaceful agreement to split into two countries, the Czech Republic or Czechia and Slovakia, in which of course Bratislava was made the capital city of Slovakia. Today it's a pretty thriving city, big nightlife. I read about how you can get cheap flights here and cheap travels here, so a lot of stag parties, which in America we call bachelor parties, happen here. But there's, lots of beautiful nature around. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump from Vienna, so lots of people do day trips over to Bratislava. Why not? To see the sights, eat the incredible food. Man, I watched some great tourist videos, and everything they ate just looked so delectable. I would tear that up. I'm gonna have to add Slovak food to my dream list of foods I want to try. It looked amazing. And yeah, it's a very beautiful, beautiful city, and I can't wait to show it to you. So, with that being said, why don't we hop over to the tablet and check out Bratislava on Google Earth? Here we are in Bratislava. I just noticed there's Bratislava. Bratislava region. Bratislava region. Why does it say it 3 times? I don't know, but that works out. Here we are. Let's start by zooming out so you can see exactly where we are in the world. Here's Slovakia. You can see Hungary just down there. There's, of course, Czech Republic, Austria, Poland's up there. Ukraine is right there on that border. So we are pretty smack dab in Central Europe, right? It's pretty hard to get more central than Slovakia, Czechia, so on and so forth. Yeah, Central Europe. Pretty easy to find on the map. Europe is not very large. Easy to find things. Unless you're looking for like Andorra or something. Bratislava. Let's go check it out. So we'll start with the bridge that you saw on the intro. The UFO bridge. Here we go. So what is this UFO? It is an observation tower. By the way, most bridge, SMP is, I believe it stands for Slovak National Uprising. So it was a bridge to commemorate the uprising. So here's the view from the UFO. Pretty great. And there it is, hovering over the town. So yeah, it's a viewpoint, it's a restaurant, it's just a place to come and see. You can see Bratislava Castle, which we'll look at next, the Danube River below. All of these panoramic views. UFO Tower. Yes, that's not its nickname, that's pretty much just its actual name at this point. Here's the view from the restaurant. See, I'm pretty sure that's a urinal, so you can have a great view while doing your business there. Lots of cool stuff up at the top. Or you could be insane like this person. No thank you. I'll pass on that activity. So yeah, Bratislava Castle. Here it is. Voila. This was the home for many Hungarian royal families. Eventually the Habsburgs, Maria Theresa, spent a lot of time here. This castle burnt down in the 1800s, so pretty much everything you see here is restored. It's pretty, epic, isn't it? It's very daunting. Yeah, you can definitely tell the difference between the old and the restored castle there, can't you? All the beautiful interiors. It is just a lovely castle, but there's lots of other lovely castles, and I honestly think more interesting castles. Some of them are in ruins, which, while I'm thinking about it, we can find an interesting castle over here, which I think is pronounced Devine. This castle was blown up by Napoleon. Very Napoleon thing for him to do, isn't it? He blew up this place, so it is now in ruins thanks to him. But there's a couple of other castles that we'll look at if we can poke them out. They're all throughout here. Back to Bratislava. Let's head down. You can see this old town here, very distinct from above. We can look at, it's the Michael Gate leading into the old town. We can see some of the beautiful architecture here. Very Eastern European, very old-timey, very charming. All the delectable restaurants are here. handcrafts, all the beautiful old churches, which we'll look at next. The municipal fortification gate with tower and foregate was built on this place in the 13th century. This part of the gate formed a bridge over the moat dating from the 17th century. Isn't this charming? I would love to spend a day here just wandering around. But check out this church over here. It's nicknamed the Blue Church. Not there. That's the palace. Where's the Blue Church? My bad. I mean, we can look at this instead. Oh, it's over here. 1 second. The Primatial Palace. Yet another palace. It's all epic and lovely. All detailed and gorgeous. I guess now that I think about it, wouldn't this be where Maria Theresa would have spent her time because if the other castle burnt down? I don't know. I believe so. That's an interesting doohickey there. Okay, let me find the Blue Church. I think it's this one. That's not it at all. There we go. My goodness. The Blue Church. It's very blue. It's pretty blue on the inside too. It looks like a cake. Look at this. It looks delicious. It looks sugary and sweet. But it's a beautiful, big old blue church. Really pretty color blue too. It's very like pastel blue, isn't it? It looks like I could eat it. It looks like a cake. It's very cool. But what we have to see the most in the old town is Chumil. Now, some interesting statues popped up around this area of Bratislava in the early 2000s, I believe. This is the most famous one. He is the man at work, Chumil. He's sticking out. You rub his helmet, and everyone loves him. Man at work. Yep, he is the spot that you come to take photos with here. Rub his helmet. You have to come and see him if you're here. You just have to. It looks like a living statue right there. Someone doing some street art. Another, goodness, wild contraption there. All the fun tourist things that people do around little sites. What is this? Oh, I don't like that. Yeah. You find all kinds of fun stuff. I remember in San Francisco we had the Bushman over at Fisherman's Wharf. He's since passed. He was an elderly man, let's say. But there's many other Bushmen, things like that. If you don't know, you should look up the Bushman of San Francisco. Just fun little things like that around the tourist sites. It looks like they're here too, with all of those wild contraptions. Lots of things for tourists to turn their eyes to. But here's an important site. This is a memorial for soldiers who fought during World War II. And it's a really beautiful memorial garden with lots of nice landmarks and statues. It's very lovely. Big view of the city. Just a great memorial, I think. Very, kind of Soviet, right? But I think it was for Soviet soldiers anyway. Let's see if I can navigate us to here we go. The heart of Slovakia. This is the capital. This is where the government is located. Big beautiful gardens. I was hoping the slideshow would pop up. I guess that's it. The government office of the Slovak Republic. This was the Episcopal Summer Palace, former residence of this archbishop. It's of course another palace. They're all over the place. This is where Slovakia is ran, where laws are passed and enforced. There's beautiful gardens all throughout, as you can see here. Let's just tap this Freedom Square with some cool modern looking art, looking a bit brutalist, of course, being most likely built during that time. Doesn't look great in this picture, but maybe it was being renovated. If we head over this way, you can see this beautiful garden here, because this is the gardens of the presidential palace, where the president of Slovakia lives. It's very pretty. Pretty great for a presidential palace. I guess, like, heads of state residences are either, like, small and to the point, they get the job done, or they're, like, luxurious. There's, like, no other way between, is there? Like, ugh, look at that. Just splendor. I wouldn't mind living there. If I was elected president of Slovakia, I would not complain. Get your work done there. Enjoy the beautiful gardens. Oh, those are some crazy trees. And yeah, enjoy this gorgeous architecture. More palaces, right? Let's see, what else do I have to show you around here? I think we should head more up here. Can see the forest up here. Wait, what's Titanic Bratislava? I have to see, because if you know me, I do love me some Titanic. Wait, look at this. It's a Titanic museum. Okay, we'll stop everything. Let's take a look at this. You got some white star line here. A nice lovely room. That looks like the Marconi room, I guess. What the Titanic would have looked like. Some china that survived. Rose's dress, you know. Titanic artifacts. It's pretty. Like, Titanic museums, they've got like a bunch of authentic things, and then they just have to fill up the rest with what they can. Film projector there. A wrench. I love the Titanic. So much more dresses, probably from the movie. The plates there, the photo of what they looked like underwater. Portal. More clothes. Pretty cool. More recovered little bits and bobs from the Titanic there. I didn't notice that when I was researching. I was too busy looking at castles. Let's look over here. I found another. Or what's left of a castle, at least. This one has not stood the test of time, but it's very pretty and looks like it's part of the fairy realm, isn't it? You'd have to be careful over here, or the fairies will snatch you. You're in their castle now. Look at that landscape, so pretty. Look at this. Looks like they're trying to preserve it there. Some scaffolding, hoping to save at least what's left slightly. Wow. Fire pit right there. And then it looks like there's one up here as well. Definitely not trying to pronounce any of these. A ruined medieval castle. A popular hiking destination. I wouldn't mind hiking to see this. That's pretty neat. Also looks a bit haunted, but that's okay. It's not a bad thing. It's just spooky. Ooh, that's so cool. What a neat place. How cool it must be to live in a place that you can just, which ruined medieval castle shall we hike to today? Oh, how nice. Let's look at some more nature stuff. Let me pull up the borders just in case. Here we go. Bratislava. I can look here in this beautiful forest. There's another castle. Oh, I think we looked. Was that the one we looked at? I think that's another one. What's this? Oh, it's a terrifying cave. Oh boy. Oh, it's really terrifying. It looks like it was an old mine. Ooh, would you go in there? I don't know if I'd be brave enough to go in there. It looks very terrifying. Oh man. Yeah, this is some Slender Man looking stuff. It makes me very uncomfortable. But like in the good way, right? In like the spine tingling kind of way, but still very curious. I think all the other fun stuff I saw was just kind of in the green area over here. But there is lots more to see, as you can tell. Of course, there's more to see in Bratislava. Let's see what this is. Lookout tower. Ooh, cool. Wow, I'm never going up there. That's scary. Lots of things are scaring me here. It's like all of my fears in one place. But that's not a bad thing. You can enjoy it through the photos. But yeah, I'd highly encourage you to poke around Bratislava yourself. Look at this clearing. Wow. You'll find all sorts of neat things. Like I just found that Titanic museum, for instance. That was pretty awesome. I wonder what you'll find when you poke around. Let me know. Let's finish off this video by looking at one other thing. Let's see, what shall we find? What will we find if we go back into the woods? What is this? It has an awfully long name. Animal Observatory. Oh, I was looking at this before. Because here's where you observe your animals. All the animals you could ever want to observe. Look at them all. Do you see all the animals? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy this style of content, please consider subscribing. There's an animal. A fake one, but you can observe it. Next on the channel, we're heading back to Cape Verde, as we call it in the United States, or as the rest of the world calls it, Cabo Verde, which is, if you've never heard of it, be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. It's these beautiful African islands in the Atlantic Ocean. Every single island is stunning in its own way, and you'll have to find out why this island is special in the next video. You have to wait. But be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. If you're still awake, please give this video a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it very much. And let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. If you want to add any other little history tidbits, or maybe tell me about your trip to Bratislava, any adventures you had, tell me about the food and how delicious it was. I definitely want to read those comments. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational. And I hope that